Welcome to Tutorial 5, Stickman Gone Wild. Unlike Stickman Walking, where the limbs of the stickman were quite rigid, in this one you want to show a more fluid motion of the stickman. And to get an idea, I'm going to ask you first of all to have open your E-Class Tutorial 5 picture. There's a PDF file in there, and open up that PDF file and you see this series of diagrams. And as you can see, the pencil tool is being used, and it's being used to show more curved limbs than what you had in the tutorial 4, where the stickman was walking and you could see the elbows and the knees. In this case, you're just using sort of a more fluid motion. And you don't have to use all of these pictures, but you do want to show a variety of them so that the more natural sort of movement of the limbs will occur. Now, how do we go about that? So I'm going to minimize that. As usual, we're going to start off in Flash ActionScript 3. So you've opened it up from all programs. Now, I want to make 3 layers. Before we put anything in, we're going to make 3 layers. So just go down the bottom and create 3 layers. The bottom layer is going to be your it's going to be a photo. Photo background. The second layer, it's a temporary layer which we're going to remove later on. We're going to call it the pathway. The way that the stick person is going to follow. And layer 1, of course, is that most important person, the stick person. No reason why it has to be a man. Right, you got your 3 layers? Good. Now, before you start the tutorial, you have to go to the internet. You have to make a decision. What is your stickman or stick person going to be doing? Excuse me, I'll get rid of that. Is your stick person going to be jumping on a trampoline, on a diving board, jumping off a bridge, jumping into a bowl of soup? I'm going to pick a cliff so that my stickman is going to be jumping off the edge of a cliff, jumping off the edge of a cliff. So I've already selected my picture. So how do you get you save the picture, first of all, to your My Pictures in my documents. So I've already got mine. So you will have to save a picture and get a good quality picture. It should be at least I'd say 100 kilobytes in size. If you're not sure about that, ask your teacher. Go to File, and when you bring a picture into Flash Animation, before you do that, decide where it's going to go. So turn on the cell where it's going. So I'm turning on cell 1 in the photo background layer. Now, go up to File, Import, Import to Stage. Now remember, the work area, that white rectangle there, is the stage, the working area. Import to Stage. And it's asking me to find it, so that window has opened up for the import. I've already given it the pathway to follow. So mine is going to Cliff Edge. That's what my picture is called. You can see the little picture has popped up there. Open. There's my picture. Now the picture is actually bigger than the stage. Here's the stage. Let me turn off click on the eye in the photo background, and you see that it's bigger than, or you can even physically move the picture. There's your stage, your work area. There's the picture. That's fine. I don't really mind because I don't really need the whole the left-hand side. I don't much need, and in fact, I don't even need all the part on the right-hand side. Now, here's what I want you to do. Once you've got your picture in there, let's decide where the stickman's going to move, and that's where we use the pathway, which is a layer that I say you'll later delete. So turn on the pathway, and this is going to be a good chance to set up your pencil. We want the pencil not to give straight lines. You want it to show curves. So turn on your pencil tool. Then go up here to Edit, and when you go down under the window that opens up, you'll see Preferences. Click on Preferences. And we want to go into the category of drawing. And here's the choices you get. Connect lines must be close. What that means is if you draw one line near to another, it'll join the two lines for you. It completes the drawing. What are the other choices under that window? Normal or can be distant, which would allow you to make two separate lines and they won't join automatically. Now here's the important one. How do you want your curves done? And the choice is off, in which case it'll just be whatever you draw. Rough, normal, or smooth. We definitely want smooth in this case. Recognize lines, I'd leave that either off or normal. Recognize shapes. The choices in there are off, strict, normal, or tolerant. We'll leave it as normal. And click accuracy, strict. I'm not sure what that does anyway. Okay, click OK. Now if you are missing your toolbar, which I have on my left hand side of the screen, or the properties over here, or the timeline, what you always do is, and they sometimes disappear, is go to the top where it says window. And when you click on that, these ones should have ticks beside them. Timeline should have a tick beside it. It's down the bottom of your screen. Tools and properties. Those ones should all have ticks beside them. So if any of your things are missing, like the toolbar, the timeline, or the properties, go and check in the window setting. I said we're going to use the pencil tool here. I want to turn on the pencil tool. Now note, and this window may or may not pop up when you do that. It should pop up, but if it doesn't, start using the pencil tool and it soon will. I've got my pencil as pink, and I've set it, I'm going to set the width of the pencil as 4. I want a fairly wide line at the moment. I'll change the color. I'm going to change the color to, it doesn't really matter, red, because as I say, this is a temporary layer. So I'm turning on the first cell in the pathway layer. And what I'm going to do is trace the path where I want the stickman to be. The stickman's feet will always be there. And I'm going to put in an arrow to show actually which way I want the stickman to go. I'm going to have the stickman jump up. I'll try to get the stickman to do a somersault, though I'm not very good at drawing. And then, of course, the descent. And hopefully the stick person will have a parachute. Now, I'm not doing that in the stickman layer. Please note, I'm doing that in the pathway layer. Now we go to the stickman layer. You must pick a color. Don't pick black as the color. Well, it depends on what your picture is, but I shouldn't pick black because the black stickman won't show up well against the cliffside since it's in the shade. I can't make it blue because eventually the stickman's going to be going in the air. I can't make it white because there's lots of white in the clouds down here as well. So pick a color. It doesn't have to be, I mean, after all, it's a stickman. It's not a human. Pick a color which will make the stickman show up very, very clearly. And I'm going to pick, you notice my properties window has disappeared for the pencil. I've turned the cell on, turn the pencil on, and I still don't see the window that I want for the pencil tool property. So I'm going to start drawing, and I'll get rid of this after a minute. And as soon as I do, the properties for the pencil turns up. Now what I want to do is I want to change the color. I'm going to change the color to, what color haven't I picked? I'll pick red for my stickman, and I'm going to leave the width of the stick pencil as 4. Now I'm going to get rid of that line that I just drew. Oops, turn on that cell, click on the line, hit delete, or use Control Z. Excuse me. Now go back into cell 1 of the stick person layer. Before that, let's turn off the picture. The picture is going to confuse me. So I'm going to turn off the picture by clicking, not getting rid of it, just clicking under the eye. We can always turn it back on. There's where the stickman's going to go. There's his pathway. So I'm going to draw my first stick person here, slightly off screen, and that's going to be the vertical one. So my pencil tool is on again, and I'll draw the head. Woo, that's a terrible head. That doesn't matter, it's a stick person. The body, the legs, I'll put one leg ahead of the other, And this is a happy Stickman. I'm going to have one arm out there and one arm up there. Now, I'm going to go along a few frames. I'm going to go to frame 5. Now this time, because I cannot insert just a keyframe. If I do, it'll just copy that picture that I put in cell 1. Right click, and here's a new one that you haven't used before. We're going to insert a blank keyframe. How do you know it's blank? Oops, it didn't. How do you know it's blank? Because it has a white dot in the center. I click outside, see it's empty. Eh? So now I can draw my Stickman again in this layer. See if my background's still there. Yeah. I should copy that pathway, by the way. I'm going down to frame 70 in the pathway layer, and how do I copy it? In every cell, the same thing. I insert a keyframe. Okay, so I've copied that one, and we're going to do the same thing with the photo background. Go down there and insert a keyframe. Remember what a keyframe does? It copies whatever was in the last cell to all the cells in between, which is fine for the picture. The picture's not going to move, which is fine for the pathway, which we're going to remove in the end. So in frame 1 of the stick person layer, we've got our first diagram. In frame 5, which has nothing in it at the moment, I'm going to draw the Stickman. So the pencil's on, and the properties should still be the same as what they were last time. So my first stick person was there. I'm going to stick the stick person here now. So draw the head again. I'm going to give this one a bit of a swagger. My Stickman's not just walking, my Stickman's sort of celebrating. I'm going to go to frame 10, right click and insert another blank keyframe. I'm going to have my Stickman over here now. I've made it too big, but anyway. My Stickman is getting ready to run for that cliff edge. So I want action. And go to frame 15. I'm just doing it every 5. Right click, insert a blank keyframe. You're going to do better than me, I hope, when you draw. As I say, I'm not the least bit of an expert at this. My artistic talents are very limited. I'm going to show a bit of curvature there in the back. One leg there, the other leg sort of bent, ready to take off. The arms going into a dive. Go to frame 20, right click, insert a blank keyframe. I'm going to show the Stickman now. Head here. Stickman has launched himself. I should have picked a different color from the arrows, but it doesn't matter. That's going to disappear. If you see, go down to the pathway layer, turn them off, and that disappears. Okay, the Stickman is now in flight. I'm going to show the legs as being slightly splayed. I don't have an arm there. That's actually the arrow. I'm going to turn off that layer so I can see where the body is and I don't confuse the two. Stickman's going to have an arm up there, and the other arm is partly visible. I'm going to do it through there. Turn back on my pathway and go to frame 25. Insert a blank keyframe. Now, I want to see where it was back in the previous one. Now, what you can do at this stage is turn on the onion skin. Do you want to see the previous ones? Go and turn on your onion skin. And that there it was. There's there, and now I'm over here somewhere in this new frame, this blank keyframe. So there's where it was in the previous, in cell 20. So I'm going to show it now bending. So the back, I'm going to turn off that pathway layer so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to show the back bending. The head, Control Z, remember, Control Z to get rid of anything. Head like that. legs more together, arms tucked in as they're going into a roll. Going to frame 30, right clicking, inserting a blank keyframe again. I better see where my pathway is. Turning on the pathway again. Okay, so this person's got to be drawn straight down now. I'm going to turn off the pathway again. Gravity rules at this stage, so I'm going to show the head down here. Oh, I forgot they were supposed to do a somersault. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that little, I'm going to have the back over here. Legs up. Second leg there. Arm here and arm on the other side coming out there. Oh, presume that's, anyway, there we are. Hand coming out. I've got to erase that little bit there with my eraser tool. Just that little bit sticking out there. Oh, good enough. I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to frame 35, inserting another blank keyframe. So I want it to go into a sort of circular dive. I have to turn my pencil tool back on. Oops. Pencil tool. And now remember, they're going to keep falling down even though they are going in a circle. When they do the somersault, gravity rules in these situations. Leg out, other leg there. I'm going to show the arms bending that way and that way. Frame 40, insert my blank keyframe. Getting the idea? You just keep doing this. I'm now going to show it, I'm going to change my storyline. I'm going to have them coming back down here. I think this stickman has discovered anti-gravity, but anyway, don't worry. And so on. Now I've not completed up to frame 70, but I've done enough to give you the basic idea. So let me turn everything back on. Let's do a controlled test movie just to see what this looks like. Now remember, it's going to sort of jump from one to the other. There's no continuous motion there. Control test movie. So it's kind of rough because if you wanted a smoother motion, you would show the many more diagrams of the stickman. So you do it every 2 cells or every 3 cells. That's why it's a bit jerky. Yeah? Now, I'm going to turn off the pathway. Let's play it now. Control test movie. Oops. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to delete the pathway. I don't want to delete it. Here's how I'm going to hide the pathway. Turn that off. I'm going to drag the photo above the pathway. There we go. Now the pathway is there, but it's not visible because it's being hidden by the photo. So control test movie again. Not great, but have you got the basic idea? Sure. Okay, and there's your Stickman gone wild. Save it as usual to My Documents in your Technology folder under your Flash Animation folder. Good luck in your drawing. And that's it for this tutorial 5. Thank you.